I grew up in the late 60s and 70s. My parents were hippies. They experimented with alternative living situations. We even lived in teepees for a while. My dad was a seeker, dabbling in various spiritual traditions of mysticism, shamanism, and Eastern religions. I was always encouraged to ask questions and explore whatever I wanted on my own. Like in second grade, I hung out with the Hare Krishna lady from across the street. I loved going to temple, the dancing, the chanting, the food, the art, and the smell of the incense. And then at 10 years old, a girlfriend and I were initiated into the Divine Light mission, becoming preteen premies for the perfect master, Guru Maharaji. When I was 12, I spent a year with my grandmother in Paris, France, only to return finding that my parents were divorced and already with new partners. This was very destabilizing. Feeling angry and alone, at barely 14, I ran away, hitchhiking across the United States, not to return again until 4 months and 4,000 miles later. And then at 17, I got pregnant. Having a baby at 18 might have saved my life. After running away and being on the road for so long, I wasn't able to successfully integrate back into school, nor into either of my parents' households. I couch surfed for a while, hanging out with the wrong crowd, and I was really on a bad track. Being pregnant and then a new mom removed me from the people I was around and thrust me straight into adulthood, which I was not equipped to handle. After a year of struggle and extreme aloneness, I reached out to a single mom friend of mine for guidance, and she suggested that I go to this house the following Sunday night and that the people there could help me. I really had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I was starving for anything that could make my life better. And after going to that first breathwork class, it felt like a return to my spiritual roots. I continued going to classes for a few years. The teacher and women who lived with him were quite a bit older than me and seemed to really have it together. In addition to the breathwork classes, the guy leading the New Age Self-Help Center ran prosperity, nutrition, and relationship classes. He advocated the power of affirmations, meditation, and adherence to a certain diet to effect change in all aspects of life. From the classes, Grant formed an inner circle of his most dedicated students, of which I was one. Meanwhile, pulling back on offering so many classes and workshops, choosing instead to focus more intimately on a smaller group of people. I moved into his house with my daughter when she was 5. He taught that in order to evolve, you had to detach from your previous relationships. So when I took this next step, I invested myself fully into the group. The 12 or so people in this smaller group becoming my intentional family and co-parents of my daughter. Grant, the authority and her primary father figure. In writing the narration for this video, I've been remembering and reflecting, trying to find the words to describe what became of my life. For the first few years, it seemed like what Grant was teaching was good, helpful. But his work was structured to make people first receptive and then susceptible to manipulation and control. The tools and processes designed to keep us locked in for his benefit. While there were other men in the group, Grant was the alpha, and relationships outside of his own were not really something that was supported. He was the hub, and everyone else were the spokes. There were a number of young, beautiful girls my age who joined around the same time I did, seemingly replacing some of the older women who dropped off as Grant's attention drifted to riper fruit. He weaponized his attention, intentionally stirring up jealousy and competitiveness, as he was nice to one person while tearing down another. This was just one of the ways that he cleaved me from my daughter, as she was always interacted with as just another one of the girls. But one by one, the younger women left, and then by the time my daughter was preteen, only me, her, and one other woman my age were there, and then she left too. Grant had always espoused pushing sexual boundaries as a way of attaining spiritual enlightenment. But as they left, Grant became darker, more easily angered, and his sexual proclivities more sadistic. I became the main focus of his quote-unquote teaching, so I thought. It wasn't until after I got out that I was able to hear and fully grok my daughter's experience of routine molestation, abuse that she had suffered for years, and abuse I had been blind to, hers only being a slightly lighter version of the torture I had endured, but ever more damaging due to her young age. That is the hardest shit for me to deal and make peace with. That and the fact that I didn't see it because I was so detached from her, convinced that I was inept as a parent and instead relying on the others to parent her. I grieve the loss of those 30 years, lost from dedicating myself to the service of one person, manipulated into thinking that by doing so I was helping others. I see now the price of handing over license of choice, the faculty of decision-making, the cost of believing the leader knew better, and that what he did or wanted was for my and everybody's greater good. It was such a destructive mind warp to silence my intuition and voice for fear of being wrong, ridiculed, or made an example of, and to watch as others left and were then demonized, trashed for moving on with their lives. You might be wondering, how, after being so fully baked, did I get out? I met a man and instantly loved him. Within days of meeting, we were sharing stories of our hippie upbringing and commune experiences. He was so kind and caring. Within a few short months, I knew I didn't want to be without him in my life. And you might think that's the happily ever after fairy tale ending to my story. It isn't. We met shortly after my daughter had escaped and at the most intense period of Grant's sadism. I was not okay with what was happening to me, and I knew it wasn't healthy. But I didn't know how to make it stop. I felt that it was safer to submit to him physically rather than be the object of his verbal cruelty, even though that strategy was only temporarily effective. Somehow, I convinced my love that the group was worth checking out. He moved in despite knowing that that was far from the truth. He was never in my cult. He was only at it. It took him embedding into the group for 10 years, all the while working behind the scenes in our private time to ignite my mind. His mere presence in the group stopped a lot of bad shit from happening. As long as he was around, Grant's violent, abusive outbursts were only verbal. I retreated from Grant's bedroom to the kitchen and strived to make myself more valuable by doing even more work, a trade-off, I thought, for his allowing my love to be there. There were many instances of wanting to learn and try new things, aside from what Grant gave me to do, only to be shut down time and again. And at a certain point, I realized that if I stayed in the group, I would never fully express the person I joined the group to become. I am saddened that my relationship with my daughter is far from healed. When I was still in the group, the times my daughter expressed any anger towards Grant, he would say that it was me who she was really mad at, which at the time made one kind of sense. But now that I'm out and fully able to comprehend what he did to her, I know that it was a manipulative tactic to turn her anger about his abuse towards me as a means to protect himself. I look forward to a time when she and I can heal together, because as long as we are divided, he is still doing harm to our lives. Since I left the group, I have reconnected with my parents and family. The parents I had been mad at during my teenage years, and the people Grant made them out to be the whole time I was there, they were not the people who embraced and welcomed me back 30 years later. I've traveled many miles. Being on an open 2-lane road with my love and our pup has been incredibly healing. The last 5 years has been a process of discovering and reclaiming the real me, and identifying and discarding the cardboard cutout person I pretended to be for Grant and the group. I am free now, free to learn and grow in ways I never thought would ever be possible.